working on building up that base strength, including endurance and strength and endurance and strength over the time. So today we're going to look at a couple of exercises that are more specific to karate, and even more specific, looking at how we can build up the strength in our legs for a side kick. Now, not in delivering the side kick, this is about actually lifting our leg up. So we're going to show you the basic one that everyone does, but then we're going to consider that and the basic flaw in that exercise, or a limitation to that exercise, and then what we can do to enhance that, particularly in the strength. Because remember, your legs are quite heavy. Even if you don't have big bulky legs in comparison to the rest of your body, unless you're a Greek Adonis up top and a chicken legs down the bottom, your legs are going to contain a lot of your body mass. So they do require a fair amount of strength training. So this is specifically with our what we call abduction, taking the leg away. Now, most of us at some stage would have done this exercise for strength training, whether we knew it was for the hip or if we thought it was just a warm-up. But it's a case of, these outward swings. Now, the important thing is, okay, we're kicking that way, our heels should point in the general direction we want our kick. Now, we don't want to roll over too much, and we can just, as you can see, we've got a post here. You can use a chair, and again, we want to think the heel is leading it up. We don't want to lean over, we want to use our legs to hold and lift up. Now again, you've got to work within your range. And these muscles are relatively small in relationship to our glute max, our glute med, the TLF, which are going to involve doing this abduction work. Now you do 8 to 12 of those, roll over, do the side. And they're very effective, and plus they will help with our range of motion. Eventually you see some of the really good kickers like Sensei Mitchell, Sensei Alex, Sensei Paul, a lot of the younger kickers, they get this big range of motion. Once you become old, your range of motion is reduced, then you've got to allow for that. But our strength can also limit how much we can lift this leg. Now, whether we're lifting this leg or this leg, one thing we need to understand is when we're using body weight, the resistance is provided by gravity. So as we do this, as you see, I'm not really moving it against gravity at this stage. Only when it gets to about there do we start really lifting for gravity, against gravity. So until then, it's swinging, and that's using momentum to get it up. So yeah, it helps, and it does do a little bit of strength training, but how can we maximize our strength for that action to lift it up, especially at the weakest point? Now, we can use resistance bands, and they're probably one of the most effective methods. And that is a hook, then the resistance band, and we work, and the resistance is applied by the band throughout the entire lift. But I know most of you won't go through and buy one. So how else can we do it? And I've got an old pull ladder here, which is lucky for me. You can use a chair. Now remember that, as we pointed out, that for the first 50% to 60%, we're just moving it parallel to gravity, so there's no real resistance, so we then use momentum to do the lift. So we're not really maximizing our strength potential. So what we can do is, whether we use a chair, a ladder, a step, a table, anything like that, again, set our position up and we place it, our leg, in that position. Now I've removed that first part of the lift, haven't I? There is no momentum. Again, use this. Now we want it for support, not to help lift, and we just lift it up. But when you get more confident, I'm not really lifting that much of a movement, am I? And that's at the top of my range of motion. So that allows the strength to actually be more effective in the training. If your range of motion is a little bit higher, then move it up higher. And as you get strength, again, and as you see again, I'm not lifting a great deal, but to move it that much requires a lot of the muscle that's available to activate. But it down. Now you don't have to control. Again, as you get better and stronger range of motion, then we can actually, remember, heel pointing that way, knee soft. This is going to be hard for me. I'm only moving it an inch, oh well, a centimetre, till I fatigue out. So that's what we're doing, is we're applying or lifting, and that's at our maximal range of motion. So it is actually our weakest point. So what we do this, or by doing it this way, we can actually strengthen our weakest point. Because remember, you're only as strong as your weakest link.